We're the only faculty in Ontario that combines traditional liberal arts with professional studies. Here, you can combine any number of programs as double majors or majors and minors. Interested in philosophy and administrative studies? You can do that here.
Nowhere else in the GTA can you find a more diverse and inclusive faculty. LANPS's culture is varied and vibrant. Our students are engaged in important equity work and community engagement.
The opportunities for academic and personal growth are unmatched at LANPS. As an international student, I have found a home among my peers. I've taken part in clubs, research projects, and important outreach activities.
LANPS has many opportunities for internships and work placements to help enhance your in-class learning. I've been working as McLaughlin College's Peer Mentor Network Coordinator, and it's preparing me for what comes after graduation.
Our faculty is at the forefront of institutional change. This year, I was appointed as Special Advisor on LANPS's anti-Black racism strategy, so we can begin meaningful and hard conversations about equity and anti-Black racism in our communities.
As a proud York graduate, I credit my professors and peers for an excellent education. I gained a sense of self and a lifelong love of learning.
Hello, everyone. I am Sasha Smith, and welcome to the BU session in the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies, or as we like to say here, LAPS or LANPS. We're so excited to have you joining us today, and we have a great session planned for you that really explores how our faculty is supporting and celebrating our Black students. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the land that York University is located on. This meeting is virtual, and because of that, we're not all actually gathered in the same space. York's land acknowledgement might not represent the territory that you are currently on, and I would ask, if that is the case, that you each take the responsibility to acknowledge the traditional territory that you are on and its current treaty holders. As a member of the York University community, I recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of the university. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Takaranto has been taken care of by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and the Métis. It is now home to many Indigenous people. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. So as I mentioned earlier, today's conversation focuses on the supports and services that are available here at LANPS that really help ensure that our Black students are thriving while at York and beyond. Today, you'll hear from members of the LANPS community, ranging from senior leadership, to staff, students, and alumni. You'll also learn about everything from scholarships, internship opportunities, unique courses, campus culture, and how they tie into the way in which LANPS is working to support Black students. So, with that said, let's jump right into things. We're going to start off with a quick round of intros. I'll start with myself. So I am Sasha Smith. I am the digital strategist for LANPS. I am also a York alum. So I was a children's studies graduate. That program is now called Children, Childhood, and Youth. I have my BEd from York, as well as I have an MA in communication and culture. Next, I'll pass it off to Associate Dean Michelle Johnson to introduce herself.
Thanks so much, Sasha. So welcome to everyone who has joined us this afternoon. We are so pleased that you've taken the time. LANPS, well, my friends on this call know that I like to say we are the biggest, we are the best. We are very, very happy to have you with us this afternoon. So I am Michelle Johnson. I'm a professor in the Department of History here at York. And in the Department of History, in my position, I teach courses which are associated with persons of African descent in the Americas. So I teach about the Caribbean, I teach about African Americans, and I also teach about persons in Canada who are of African descent in a course called African Canadian History, and I'll talk about that later on. But for today, I really want to focus on my role as Associate Dean of Students for LANPS. And what that means is that I am the person who you will come to around questions of advising. What courses should I take? The people who will help you with the advising are my colleagues, and they will work with you. If you have problems with your finances, if you have problems of almost any aspect of your life as a student at York, this is one office where you can come to try to get some help, to get some direction about where to go. So once again, welcome. We are so happy to have you here. And now I'll pass it on to Tawfiq.
Thank you very much. It's just a great honor to be here. Is it okay to call you Professor Johnson? Okay. Well, it's just an honor to be part of this panel. My name is Tawfiq Amandi. I am actually currently in my third year of law school at the University of Ottawa. I'm also a York U alumni. I took Human Rights and Equity Studies, and again, one of the best programs ever. And I'm gonna die saying that. And again, just a pleasure to meet all of you and to hopefully be able to share my experiences and hopefully be able to help you out making your decision and joining one of the best faculties in the world, I would say. Thank you. Now I'm going to pass it on to Ms. Carleen.
Thank you, Tawfiq. Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure to see you all here today. My name is Carleen Case, and I'm the Manager of Student Engagement within the LAPS colleges. Super excited to be here. In terms of the work that I do, we do exciting work around building a culture of community with our students. So this is the fun part of the portfolio, where all the excitement, where you'll make connections with other students, with people in your program, really looking at focusing on programming that supports our students over the upcoming years as they transition through the university, and will be your first stop when you come, if you choose York, in terms of where you kind of figure out, where do I go next? It is a big place, and so we're happy to support you with that. A little bit about my background is I am a York alum as well. So many moons ago, I did graduate from York with a BA in sociology, and then I completed my Master's of Education at York as well, with a postgraduate diploma in post-secondary education policy. So I'm York to the bone. I completely understand what it feels like to be you, to be also experiencing as a new student, but also as a staff to support all the great work and all the great initiatives that we have planned for you when you reach here, and that we will continue to sustain as we move forward through the year. So I'd love to pass it over to Emmanuel, one of our great students in BCom.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Emanuela Osu, and I am a current student at York University, specifically a first-year student. I'm also majoring in IT BCom, specifically the auditing and insurance program at York University. A little bit about my program is that it is catered to both business and IT students. So if anyone is interested in that program, I'd recommend going to the IT BCom program. And I'd like to pass the mic back to Ms. Sasha.
Thank you, Emanuela. Thank you, everyone, for such great intros. So now that we all kind of know each other, let's get into things. Professor Johnson, I was wondering if you can kind of speak to your role in relation to the advisory committee and the strategies of the faculty in addressing anti-Black racism.
Thank you so much for that question, Sasha. So over the last 2 years, it would not surprise anyone that the concerns around social justice, especially as the social justice affects people of African descent, has become a concern at York University. Within our faculty, which is the leading faculty in Canada dealing with persons of African descent, these concerns were especially heightened. And growing out of the concerns which came out of the George Floyd uprising and our own responses within Canada to systemic racism that persons of African descent face, the faculty was a leading faculty at York University to begin to address this through a special committee that was set up. As the slide that is now on display shows you, we have an entire program called Addressing Anti-Black Racism within LANPS. Inside of this program, we set up a committee that meets every month and we talk about the challenges that our students, that our staff, that our faculty face, and we advise our dean on how to address these concerns. I'd just like to highlight a couple of things that this committee has done over the past year. In the first place, we advised the dean around a new Black Scholars Research Fund. And what this meant was that our dean and our faculty put aside money to support the research of Black faculty members. Secondly, there's a program called DARE, the Dean's Award for Research Excellence, which one of our group will talk about in more detail later. But inside of the DARE program, we set aside a number of these DARE. These are awards where undergraduate students are encouraged to do research, and some of those were set aside for students of African descent. We also have a new postdoctoral fellowship that is set aside for persons of African descent. And I'd like to just end on featuring the Tom Janes Award, where we got one of the entrepreneurs who worked around the area of York wanted to support our students who were coming from the area around York. And he donated a significant amount of money, which we have now folded into 10 awards, which support students through their careers at York. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We can go on about this, but I'll leave it there just to let you know that LAMPS is absolutely serious, absolutely committed to the support of students of African descent within our faculty. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Johnson. There's some really great work. It sounds like that's been happening within the faculty.
And then my next question is actually to you. So Ms. Sasha, so could you please tell us a little bit about what the campus community is like, and how is LAPS fostering a culture of inclusion at York University?
For sure, that's a great question. I've been a student at 3 different campuses, York, Ryerson, and NYU down in New York City. And I always tell everyone that York is probably the campus that has probably the most friendly, inclusive, and diverse culture. I always compare the other 2 universities to York all the time. It's a place where you do feel really welcomed. We have like over 300 student clubs at York that do focus on diversity, but as well as your own unique interests. We have like a fencing club, you know what I mean? But when it comes to like the culture side, like I'm half Guyanese, there's the Guyanese Student Council. So there's really things that kind of, there's clubs and organizations that really do focus on your own interests, as well as helping you connect with your community, right? We also have the longstanding York Black Student Alliance that's been around for quite some time. And as well, for instance, right here in LAMPS, our resident theater company, Vanier College Productions, has the Black Indigenous People of Color, or BIPOC Artist Hub, and it's really about uplifting Black and Indigenous and people of color artists, their voices, their work, as well as making sure that they're building those important connections and those networks in order to actually thrive, right? And I always say this as well, York has this really great culture of inclusion. There's so many different programs and courses that kind of center the voices and perspectives of Black persons. For instance, we have, the Griots to MCs course, which is really focused on, spoken word and hip hop, and which is really an art form that has been created by Black and brown persons. So it's a really great course where you get to kind of experience the art form itself, as well as kind of the history and the origin of it.
Awesome. Actually, that sounds so amazing. But I'm not going to let you go yet. I actually have a follow-up question.
All right.
This actually is in relation to mental health. So I guess my question is, what mental health supports are there for Black students at York University?
Right. Well, York has a range of different mental health supports that are available to all members of the campus community. You know, we have the student counseling and health and well-being. It's a great resource for all students. They offer, you know, one-to-one support with qualified mental health counselors, and they also offer the Racialized Student Support Group, which is really a place for, you know, BIPOC students to kind of gather. It's a safe space for them to kind of discuss their experiences as, you know, as BIPOC persons on campus, as well as navigating the actual world. They offer, you know, drop-in supports that you can kind of like, you know, speak to someone, as well as they host kind of a range of different workshops throughout the year that really give you the students the actual tools to kind of foster a healthier headspace. And as well, you know, York has a range of on-campus resources, but they also have off-campus ones as well. Good to Talk is a great one that our students use throughout their York journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Sasha. So now I'm actually going to switch my attention to Ms. Manuela. Before I move any further, I would like to say congratulations, a big congratulations to Ms. Manuela for being the first individual to win the Melissa Grola Award for Black and Indigenous Excellence. So again, I would just like to take just a few seconds to just acknowledge this amazing achievement.
Thank you.
No problem. So now I actually have a question for you. So my question is, what was the process of applying for the award? And how did you find out you received the award?
So first, the process of applying to the award, right? So I got an email from the student financial profile at York University saying that we had to update our student financial profile and do so if we haven't. So I clicked the email and it had like a link underneath the email. So I clicked the link, went through the email, did the process, and then it gave like a list of scholarships that were catered to each and every student and what program they are in. So I came across the Melissa Grola Award, which was catered to IT students. So I thought, you know, why not apply? So I applied to the award, and then I had to fill out about a few forms, like a few personal forms. And then after doing that, I was done with the award. I just closed my laptop, and that was it. And a few weeks later, I had received an email saying that I was the recipient for the award. And when I saw the email, I was flabbergasted. I was so excited because I didn't know that I'd win the award. All right, so I just want to say for future students coming to York University, do take advantage of the scholarships and bursaries offered at York University, because you never know how lucky you are to receive this award. Thank you.
Awesome. Honestly, this is an amazing achievement, an amazing story. However, again, I also have a follow-up question for you. Yeah. So how was your experience as a student in labs been so far, and how would you choose? Why did you choose to apply to York University?
So my experience at LAPS has been amazing. I think so far it's pretty good. Like, I've met amazing peers, amazing staff members, amazing professors. So I really like my experience at LAPS. I do believe that we are the best faculty out there. And my experience, why I chose York University was simply because I found out that York University is pretty diverse. Its flexibility, the academic services that they offer at York University, because I had an older sister who goes to York University, so she told me more about York University. So I was really interested. I also did my own research about York University. So I applied to York University and I got in. And ever since I've gotten into York University, because I have been on campus, I've honestly loved it. It's been amazing. So I really do appreciate York University.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Manuela. And now I'm going to actually pass the mic on to you. Let's take over.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So I would like to ask Ms. Carleen a question. The question is, how is LAPS supporting Black futures and excellence?
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Well, this is the area that I love to talk about the most. I'm biased because LANPS is doing such amazing things for our students across all of our programs, but particularly for Black students. So first I want to talk to you about just our peer mentor program. That's the first stop in terms of how you would probably exchange or build community amongst a number of your fellow students. So we promise that when you do come to Labs, that you will be partnered with a peer mentor program person that will really support you through your experience. They're going to guide you, help you to navigate all the first year challenges, excitement, where to find things. York is an entirely big place. So all 4 of our colleges, which we're excited to have a great, robust peer mentor program, which will allow you to connect, to make friends, to participate, to see what areas that you're talented in, to see areas of interest, and really to start making you think about those things in terms of how you'd like to contribute or how you'd like to navigate the rest of your time here at York. The next thing I'd like to focus on is our supports. While we love to have fun, we also want to ensure that you have tons of peer support through academics. And so the first option here is through PASS. So PASS is really considered peer-assisted study sessions. These sessions are geared to support you. So we've identified some courses that we know that are really challenging and difficult for some students to have. And so in attending these sessions led by your peers that are doing really exceptionally well in their courses, they're going to help you with study tips, how to problem solve, how to develop and learn strategies to prepare for exams. So you'll have support there around academic success. In addition to PASS, we also have our newly formed SNAC, which stands for Student Numeracy Assistance Center at Keele. And while you can have a snack while you're there, it's important to know that you, again, have tons of academic supports there. So we know that some of our courses that have math and stats and Excel and have some real numeracy challenges that not all students may know how to navigate, that this area will support you with basic linear algebra, complex statistics, tricky equations, calculus, all that fun and hard and challenging stuff that's going to make you a success while you're at York. Now, moving into in terms of what we students are always looking for is an opportunity to gain some real valuable work experience. We offer an amazing internship program that we're happy to report is now offered to all of our students in the faculty. Yes, I was talking about the internships and how there's amazing opportunities for 3rd and 4th year students, and that we are working with our partner organizations that have a real good sense of wanting diversity in their workforce and that are aspiring to hire Black students. So these are companies like TD, BMO, RBC, we have Ontario Public Service, just to name a few of the larger companies, but they really want to provide and create opportunities for you to excel, to develop some great networking opportunities, but also to hone those skills that you're actively working on 3 or 4 years at York. And so we do encourage students to really self-identify in the internship application so that we're aware of where you're at and so that our employers are also aware so that they can support you as well. So I know you might be thinking internship, that might be very stressful. And it's not. While it is a competitive process, we do have dedicated support for our students to ensure that you have the access, the resources to a career education coordinator, which will help you walk through those processes of how do you job search? How do I develop a resume, a cover letter? How do I prep for an interview? So you will get that hands-on support. And if our internship program couldn't be any better, we also have the Internship Awards program. This is a labor of love that specifically identifies some really, really unique opportunities within the community to work with a nonprofit organization. And in this instance, over the summer, students have the opportunity of working with an organization that works towards social and economic justice and Indigenous rights. You earn $9,000 for the summer, where you'll be working with a partner that has key work with a focus on Black and anti-racism platform. So this is an example of this would be our Black Women in Motion, the Black Legal Action Center, and the Loyan Foundation, to just name a few of some of our partners there. And so now you're thinking about, we've done the work, these are paid opportunities, which are amazing. You also can do an opportunity through the Black Canadian Studies Practicum, which I know AD Michelle will talk about a little bit more. I'll just give a very high level view in terms of that this is an opportunity for you to work part-time to develop some experience as a placement course. So similar or different to the internship program, this gives you an opportunity to earn a credit instead of pay, but you'd be working with a Black company or a Black business or organization to provide you with supports in that aspect as well. So tons of great, what we call work integrated learning opportunities. We encourage our students to take advantage of these opportunities, which will support you when you leave the university. We also have a couple highlights in terms of our new program that we launched this year. It's called the Advancing You program. The Advancing You, again, is just a really amazing opportunity I wish they had when I was back in the university many years ago, to really provide students with an opportunity to connect and to be mentored by some key Black experts in their field that have given their time and their resources and their finances to support students through a one-year program. And this year we welcomed 78 Black students into this program, where we had 25 mentors that really are doing exceptionally well in their field and want to provide and give you the insight, what I wish I knew, what I wish I could learn, what do I need to think about in the 3rd and 4th year, and how do I apply to law school? How do I think about the next steps in my career? How do I navigate the industry? How does gender, race, and all these things impact me? So those are questions that you can feel comfortable talking to somebody that's already been you and that's gone through York and is able to support you and help you in those ways. In addition to that, you're also receiving some professional and personal support, as well as $1,000 scholarship to go towards your fees and towards offsetting any other issues that you may have. So we're super excited about that. And then lastly, we've just learned about a really good new opportunity around the Black and Indigenous Varsity Students Athlete Alliance. This is also another great way for our student athletes. It's really catered to follow the experiences of Black and Indigenous varsity students. So those are students that play sports. To talk about your concerns, address your questions, and really create a sense of community around there, but also provide you with educational training and learning supports, and really being able to gain a clear understanding of your experience while you're at York. So I know that the DARE program is also exciting, which Michelle slightly touched on, and I'll pass it over to my colleague, Sasha, to just explain a little bit more of what that is about.
Thanks, Carlene. So the DARE program, so the Dean's Awards for Research Excellence, is one of the really unique programs within LANPS. It's mainly for upper year students, and you get to kind of spend your summer working alongside an LANPS researcher doing some really innovative work on some cutting edge research projects within the humanities, social sciences, or even professional studies. These projects cover everything from like coding and tech to, social justice. So it's really about, exploring and analyzing today's world as well. And as part of this program, you do get a $5,000 grant for your work on the project. This year's program, though, led to a really interesting creation, which was a database, first of its kind database for Black Canadian books and films. The project was led by Professor Andrea Davis. She's one of the leading scholars in Black diasporic studies and a student here at LANPS, Jaleesa Ricketts. And it's basically this database where it houses all sorts of, poetry books, fiction, scholarly texts, documentaries that really explore and get at the Black Canadian experience. And it's, like I said, it's first of its kind. It has been done before, but it's really about, that whole experience of DARE is really about putting you to work within a researcher and being mentored, but as well as to gain, critical research skills, as well as to develop important workplace skills that you'll be able to take with you in order to succeed in your future careers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, Ms. Sasha. I'd like to ask Mr. Tafiq a question. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you. So why did you choose York and why the Human Rights and Equity Program in LAPS?
Awesome. Thank you very much for that question, actually. Well, I honestly chose York University because of its diversity and community. Well, from a personal experience, I came into Canada as a refugee. So it's a sense of belonging has always been my priority, my primary focus when I'm looking for either work or any educational institution to study at. And I went to Central Tech, Central Tech High School, which is a high school like with a lot of immigrants. And again, that there's a sense of a community over there, which was great, which then transitioned me to York University. With York University, honestly, once I came into York University, it was one of the most amazing experiences that actually I ever encountered. For example, I actually came to York University doing political science. However, given that I went to something much more narrow or focus, I actually switched to human rights and equity studies. And that was the best decision I could have ever made. Because during my time at human rights or doing studying human rights and equity studies, it was a relatively small program. So we actually had easy access to our professors. We literally, like, any questions that we had, any issues that we had, it was easier for us to be able to talk to them. We would go for lunch, just sit down and just talk about anything in life. So it was really much of a great experience. And even with my time at York University too, I was able to venture out with doing extracurricular activities like school labs. I was a treasurer for 2 years in a row. And one of the amazing things, again, with York University also and LAPS, is that I got opportunity to do a work study with the dean's office. And through it, I was able to foster and create a great relationship with people like Miss Andra, as well as Miss Caroline, who's like a big sister. So it has been, it's like my experience at York University and even through human rights and studying human rights and equity studies has been honestly nothing but amazing. And again, it actually kind of helped me reinforce the idea that York University is a place to go to if you're looking for diversity and a sense of community as any individual. It doesn't really matter what your background is. It's just you're always going to find something that resonates with you, which is very, very critical, especially with the environment or with the climate that we're in, because without one's true self, there's nothing. And that's one thing I feel it's very important as a student, and to be to actually be able to have that feeling or that pride of saying that I belong to a community of amazing people, which is York University.
Thank you for answering the question. I would now like to pass the mic to Ms. Sasha.
All right, thank you, everyone. So to cap off today's conversation, I'm going to toss it over to Professor Johnson. And I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about the courses in LNPS and more specifically the Black Canadian Studies Certificate.
Okay, thank you so much, Sasha, and thank you to the panel in advance. This has been amazing to see our past students, our current students, and all you alumni who are working at York. Now, one of the things by now you must be like, oh my gosh, there's so much at York. There is just so much. And we haven't gone through everything by any means. But I'd just like to focus on some of the courses, just 2 of the courses that would expose you to the experiences of African peoples in Canada. Now, one of the things that students often complain about in primary school, elementary school, and in high school is that they don't see themselves in the curriculum. They don't see themselves reflected in the things that they're learning. Well, at York University, especially within LANPS, we are trying to address those concerns. So let me tell you about 2 of these courses. There's one course called Cultures of Resistance in the Americas, the African American Experience. It's in the Department of Humanities. And just to start to introduce you to the York language, it's Humanities 1300. Which is just a course code. So get used to that one, Humanities, Humor 1300, and you'll see that 9.0 behind it, which means it gives you 9 credits if you complete this course. And the students who take this course tell over and over again that it is a life-changing experience. The person who leads this course right now is Professor Andrea Davis, who you saw earlier with the DARE program. And in this course, people talk about the concepts of race. What does it mean? What does race even mean? It is a fictive concept. What does it mean to be a Black person in Canada, in North America? What does it mean to be an immigrant of African descent? And so people who do this course go through some really deep concerns. And this is in your first year. This is in your first year at York University. It is an amazing course. The professor who teaches it has gotten several awards for teaching. I urge you to take this course, whether you are in LANPS or not. If you decide to go somewhere strange, like, I don't know, Lausanne, please come back and take this course with us. It is an amazing course. The second course I'd like to talk about is History 3535. Again, get used to those course codes. It is in the History Department, African Canadian History. And what this course talks about is the experiences of persons of African descent from the beginnings of history, post-Indigenous history in Canada. So from the very moment of the 16th century, all the way through the 15th century, all the way through to the present, we talk about the experiences of persons of African descent. We talk about slavery, and I say we because this is the course that I have taught for many, many years. We talk about the enslavement of persons of African descent. We talk about the ways in which people have migrated from Africa, from the United States, from the Caribbean, the communities they've formed, the ways in which they've worked hard to help to build this country, and the systemic barriers that they've faced, the ways they've tried to address those barriers. I will say it myself, it is an amazing course. You need to take this one as well. Register for History 3535. And you don't have to be in the history department to take this course. Many of the people who take the course are in kinesiology, they're in this thing, they're in English, but they come in to take this course. It creates community. And it creates community because the two courses that I've mentioned today, Humor 1300 and History 3535, are together in the Black Canadian Studies certificate. So those two courses are part of a wide range of courses you can take if you take the certificate. The certificate you can take alongside your major. So there are people who are doing a major in sociology and the certificate in Black Canadian Studies. They're doing English and the certificate in Black Canadian Studies. So what this means is that you can form a community within this certificate that rivals none. The certificate was launched only a few years ago, and it already has dozens and dozens of students. I think one of our ADs here might be able to tell us more than 70 students at last count I heard are part of this certificate. And these are people who are interested in Black Canadian studies. It rivals nothing. They have community, they go out together, they formed friendships together in those two courses and several other courses that I've mentioned. Now, by now you must be wondering, why am I even thinking about it? I must come to York because it is the place to be. LANPS is the leading faculty where persons of African descent are concerned in Canada. There is no rival. So I urge you to think of us, to think warmly of us as we think warmly of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Johnson, for such enthusiasm about the program. I mean, if I were to come back to do another, undergrad degree, I would probably think very strongly about checking out the certificate program. I wish it was around when I was at York. That is a wrap on today's BU session in LANPS. I want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us live, as well as everyone tuning in from home. Please note that if you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to us at goyork@yorku.ca. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about the admissions process, as well as our programs. And don't forget, you can always connect with us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at YorkULaps. All right, everyone, thank you so much again for joining us. Be safe and be well.